Want to like quickly kind of go over the agenda and also the purpose of this. The purpose of this isn't to give you more stuff to make you more like give more junk in your life. It's to help like use the tools that you have really well, make them, and then make your life more efficient and help, you know, stay on top of things, help communication, yada yada. So there's a lot to this. I've learned a lot of this also in the last like couple weeks just from working with like, you know, a lot of these newer guys that have come in that I've just kind of know the secrets of the industry. So I'm also a new, and I think it's important that we're all learners here. Like if you guys have great things to share as we're going, like please feel free to hop in. But yeah, the end of the day is like, this is going to be really beneficial, whether you're with RentSons or you're with like any other company for like the rest of your life. The amount of hours you're going to add back in, or the more efficient, the more efficiency they're going to be adding to your life and your work life is crazy. Probably can't even measure it. That's probably what you'll get out of this meeting today. So we're going to have a couple different sections. I put the agenda in the calendar invite, but first I'm just giving the quick intro. That's for the first 10 minutes. The next, Noah's going to hop on and he's going to go through a lot of stuff with Gmail, stuff that he showed me that's been awesome, just about inbox zero, and then touching on some different things potentially on HubSpot. After that, JCK is going to take over and just talk through how to use your Google Calendar really well, and then also just giving some great notes on how to use Google Sheets really well. That'll help for sure. Then we'll just take a break, take 10-minute break, get up, grab food, coffee, whatever, and then we'll jump back on, and then I'll lead a section on success lists and how to like really what you should be focusing on, how to like think about like your big priorities and dial down into kind of smaller daily priorities, weekly objectives, and then using a combination of a written pad for an agenda and then also your a thing called Trello, which is like an amazing to-do list and group collaborative tool for getting things done. And then after that, I think Chesterton's just going to close it off with like any additional things that he would like to add, and then other general productivity resources. And then last we can leave like 15 minutes for Q&A. Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right, Noah, kick her off.
Okay. Yeah, so we will go over, oh, you have to let me share my screen, Pat. I want to be able to, okay, are we good? Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I've got a test email account that I'll kind of use here to show you guys. But yeah, I just want to show you some stuff to make your inbox a little bit easier to maneuver and manage and then stay on top of. And ultimately, I think it's best that the company moves toward everyone being on a principle of inbox zero, which is basically that, you know, barring some crazy circumstances, you basically get to 0 emails in your actual inbox. So you can see there's like 6 emails here each day. And not stop using your inbox as just like something that has like 2,000 unread emails. And at the same time, we don't want to fall into using our inbox as a to-do list, which is what a lot of people often do when they're trying to keep their inboxes at a low level. So a few things first that I just wanted to show you guys. If you could go to your Gmail account right now and pull it up, and then follow along a little bit here. So we can go to settings, and actually I just realized this is a normal Gmail account and it looks a little bit different than your guys's. So I will have to use my Timshel team because it's a business account. So one of the first things that I have you guys do is, I think a good number of you guys are probably in, well, you probably don't see this. You probably have a bunch of like little attachments. So one of the first things I'd do is change the display density. So you're probably in the default, which looks like this. And I would just hit this icon up here, press display density and change it to comfortable. Compact is like way too tight, but change it to this. So that takes away all the extra noise basically. And then some of them are going to be easier to show. Another one too, I would go to, let's go to settings. And if you go to general, you're here. And I've done this with a few of you guys, but one of them I would do is I'd change the maximum page size so that it's only 10, maybe 20 at max. And the basic reasoning and principle of this is that if you have a lot of conversations on the page, then it's distracting, in part because your mind, and when you see the whole inbox, like you see stuff that's further down the page, and part of you, basically what you end up doing is you end up making a lot of decisions about which email do you want to respond to first. And that's not the way you want to do email. The better way to do email is to basically set aside a time to go through your inbox and quickly go through email to next email, and not like think about which one do I want to tackle first. And there's two main reasons why you don't want to think about which one you want to tackle first. One of them is it's another decision that you have to make throughout the day. I'm sure you guys have seen like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. They wear the same thing every single day because they don't, their basic idea is that like, I don't want to have to make the decision on what I wear. I already have to make so many decisions. Making decisions on your brain is taxing, and you can basically only make so many in one day. And so what you definitely don't want to be doing is every single time you come to your inbox, forcing yourself to make 10 different decisions about which email you want to answer first. So it's a lot better to just come to your inbox and start cranking through the emails one after the other. So that if you have less emails on the page, it'll be less distracting and less tempting to do that. So I would change the maximum page size to about 10. If you don't have undue, I assume everyone's got undue because it's so helpful, but I wouldn't put that too long, because then if some people have 30 seconds, but then it's like whenever you want to send somebody an email, they're just waiting for it. Default reply behavior, it doesn't really matter too much as long as you're cognizant of what you're doing. I would generally, if you're not very aware of what you're doing, I would generally put the default behavior to be reply all. Hover actions. So hover actions are when you hover over, you can see these like items pop up. Turn that off for the same principle. It's distracting, and you can also use shortcuts to do things much faster than clicking around. Let's see, other ones here. Yeah, make sure you have grammar spelling suggestions on. And then you can, yeah, so then another one I would do is autocorrect. I'd keep that on. You can turn on after, I actually wouldn't turn this on. I wouldn't do what I did here. I actually want to turn that off. But if you don't have conversation view on, definitely turn that on. That keeps all the emails in one single thread. Smart reply, I would turn that on as well. Oh, this is a big one. Turn on your keyboard shortcuts. You really, and I'll show you a few of the really good ones here in a minute, but all of us should probably have room to grow in shortcuts. And I also still want to get a lot better shortcuts, even though I use some of them a ton in Gmail. There's others I don't, and they're just so much faster than doing stuff with your mouse.
Is everyone following along?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine most of you guys don't need to manage multiple signatures, but yeah. So once you've done all of that, hit save changes at the bottom. If you don't hit save changes, none of them will apply. Okay. And then another thing as well is we'll get to labels in a minute, but for your inbox type, I would just keep it as default. And I would turn off these social promotions, updates, forums labels, because that just splits your inbox into basically 3 inboxes. And another general principle is you don't want to have tons of trays. Also, this isn't perfect in how it sorts the emails, so it could erroneously sort an email that's like important for something related to rent sons and put it in like promotions. So I would just turn off these labels so that it's all one inbox. If you had these turned on, you would see something like, oh, I got to change. You'd see something like this. So you see how I can like toggle between these different things, and you don't want that because it's a principle of like adding more trays of information, like in trays of information, and we definitely already have enough trays of information in our lives. So turn those off so that it's just primary is the only one, and then hit save changes down with that.
And then let us know if anyone needs us like to slow down or anything like that, so we can all make sure that we're kind of updating.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, could you go over that one more time for me, please?
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank
so
you.
Back to settings. Yeah, please say something. Like if you miss something, please say something because we want to tackle this now. And it's not anyways. Yeah. So go to inbox here and make sure that it's just primary, like the only one at the top that is selected in terms of categories. We don't want any of these other ones selected. Does that make sense?
Hey, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Quick suggestion. I mean, you and I went through this a lot. All with you did this with me personally the other day. But when you say when we're doing it on our screen, at least on my computer.
Just so you guys know, this is here. If you all take on another email address, or if you're managing multiple email addresses, you can. Well, actually, I guess this would be in here in forwarding. No, yeah. You can send mail. You can add an alias. For some reason, Kevin and I couldn't get this to work yesterday. I don't know if maybe we need to enable it in the G Suite admin or something, but we couldn't get this to work. But this is how you would add another email address if you were managing another inbox. You would add it so that you could send as either, I could send as either Noah at Tinfishel Team or Noah at Rensons by typing in the email address, and then I like put in the password and stuff. And then in the other email account, you would add a forwarding address here. And that would allow you to like filter mail on to this inbox, and then you could respond to it as that email address from this inbox. Just so you know, that's where it is. Kevin and I were struggling to get it to work for some reason. It might be G Suite admin stuff, but that's where it is if you wanted to do it. So then I would go to advanced here. And actually, this is the one that I've been meaning to disable. I actually don't like that setting. Dang it. Anyways, but yeah, go to advanced in the settings, and under advanced, one of the things you can do is, yeah, you can enable custom keyboard shortcuts if you want to. One of the ones I would definitely do is unread message icon. And what that does is it puts the number of unread emails in your inbox in the tab up here at the top, and when you're in Chrome. If you would like to set a theme, so have a picture like this in your background, this is where you do it in the themes, but that's less important. So everyone's still tracking? I'm going to go over some shortcuts here now.
All right, so everyone, yeah. Also quick on shortcuts. So shortcuts is basically just using your keyboard to do things instead of using your mouse.
Yes. And it's way, way faster. And people computer programmers tend to do basically everything, like everything even on their computer, not just like Gmail with shortcuts only. They don't touch their mouse as much because once you have the shortcuts memorized, it's just so much faster. Like my mouse is all the way up here. It's so much faster for me to press the Windows key in Windows to look at something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No on this too. I was very skeptical of Noah when he started showing me this stuff, but like already quickly, I almost am only using shortcuts to send emails and go through my inbox. It's making it go like way faster. And I'm a big like mouse guy. I love my mouse. So
yeah, I got an external mouse too, so I still do that as well. But so yeah, so first of all, if you enabled shortcuts and turned that on, then if you press shift question mark, which is really just a question mark because that's how you make the question mark, you'll see this, and it'll pull up all of the shortcuts in Gmail. This is a little bit overwhelming. I mean, long term, it'd be awesome if you get to the point where you're like really comfortable with, you know, at least 50% of these. So, but I'll go through like the ones that like definitely are the most helpful here in a second. But
no,
just
what
so
do you press
know,
to pull up the shortcuts?
it's like it's question mark. Like make a question mark.
Is it shift question mark or command question mark?
I mean, on my keyboard, I have to use shift to create a question mark. So it's like hold down shift and then hold down the key that has a question mark on it.
That works.
That
Yeah.
works for me. Make sure you're clicking within your Gmail. Has everyone got it? Anyone have a problem with that? Got it? Cool.
Yeah, make sure you've clicked it in the window. So yeah, there's tons of shortcuts here, but I'll go through the ones I use the most and the ones I think are like just super helpful. So the first one is like, and they try to make them a little bit intuitive when they can. So if I'm as long as I've clicked somewhere in the Gmail window and I'm here, just press C and it opens a box to start composing an email, like E for compose. And then I could start typing Pat's name. And then if I do Control Shift C, then I should have start typing Pat's name. I can press enter to select that email, do Control Shift C, and that brings up carbon copies. So now I can carbon copy Chesterton. And then if I wanted to VCC Julia, then I could do that. And then I can press tab, tab, tab to get down to the subject line. So this way, like my mouse is, all the way over here. Tab, tab, tab. Testing Gmail shortcuts. I can press tab again to say, hey, Pat, Thanks for testing. And then I can press tab again to get to the send button, or I could just press, or if I wanted to, I could just press Control Enter, and that'll send the email.
Yeah.
So C to bring up the window, Control Shift C to switch to, you know, CCing someone, Control Shift B to shift to BCCing someone, tab to go to the subject line, testing, Control Enter to send. I got out of the, well, I didn't specify a recipient, but Control Enter to send this. Okay, so if everyone's done that, yeah, so try sending me an email and CCing Pat and BCCing Chesterton without touching your mouse.
Whoa.
I'll wait for the emails to roll in. Maybe you have your undo send on 30 seconds though, so maybe it's taken.
The nice part is if you forget, you can always just pull that shortcut.
Exactly. When you're reading an email like this, you can press E to archive it. And if you want, I mean, it helps you crank through your inbox, but I think it can be confusing. This is what I was talking about, turning on or off. But auto advance, if you enable it, then it'll allow you to just like start at the beginning of your emails. Because going back to what I talked about, it's way better to like start and then just crank through. So then when I press E, it just takes me to the next email, so I can keep responding. And if you're reading an email, sorry, I guess there's a couple more than two more that I wanted to show you. If you're reading email, if I press R, then it opens up a response, like it's a shortcut for reply. So, hey, Pat, responding here. And then I pressed Control Enter to send it, and then message send and archived it automatically because I have that feature set up. So here, if multiple people send an email, so this one was, you know, from Kevin, but it's to Pat. So there's a couple of people, so I could reply all. Instead of pressing R, if I want to reply all, I can press A for replying all. So R, I'm responding just to Kevin. A, I'm responding to Kevin and Pat. And then the last one here is to delete an email. You can just do pound symbol. So shift, for me, that's shift and then the key that has the 3 and the pound symbol on it. So shift, message, move to trash. Move to trash. I can just crank through these emails so much faster.
For me, the biggest tool that I think that my favorite shortcut is definitely just the archiving function and
Yeah.
just sending. You know, even those shortcuts of archiving and just writing and sending emails, I think that is like a great first step to like making your inbox more efficient.
What is, can someone explain to me what archiving exactly means?
Yeah, archiving is basically getting the email, and this is the next thing I was going to talk about, is getting the email out of your inbox. So like you're not deleting it. So right now I have 21 emails in my inbox, but if I search Pat at Rinsons, I've got about 48. There's even more than that. So when you archive it, it's out of the inbox, but it's still like you can still search for the email. You haven't trashed it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And this is kind of what I was getting at with trying to get to roughly inbox 0 at the end of each day, which obviously I didn't do yesterday, but getting like, you know, not having like 3,000 emails in your inbox or 15,000 emails in your inbox, because it's just like, it's just so much. You don't know what you've responded to or not responded to. And trying to get to a place where you don't just like constantly have tons of unread. That's even worse. Tons of unread emails in your inbox. So the filter,
the battery life way higher too. I had 18,000 emails in my inbox, and Noah and I spent like 16 hours going through I did, and no one else kickstart it. But after that, my computer battery stopped dying like way less fast. So
yeah, it's like and so this. And another reason about archiving and going through your emails and like good practices here is like the search functionality in Gmail's inbox is, I mean, they're a search engine company. Their search functionality is amazing. Like it's really, really good. I've basically never had trouble finding emails that I wanted to find that were archived. As long as you can just remember a piece of the information and then the rough timeline, you can press this arrow and you can apply all kinds of search filters. So this is one of the things, a couple of things I want to get to. First is do not use labels, basically. Because the search functionality is so good, it takes time. When you're trying to crank through emails, it takes time and decision-making energy when you use labels. So the only label that I have is right now is just this unsubmitted receipts one, because the company that we started, we still haven't set up the software to like submit receipts right now, because it's still only been a couple months. We're still getting everything running here. And so I've just put receipts. I put receipts here that I need to get reimbursed for. So that's the only label that I have. You guys might have tons of labels. I would basically just, if you want to get rid of the labels, go to the label folder, and I would basically just archive everything and remove the label and then like archive everything in the folder. And you can select all the emails on the page by doing this. And then you can select all that are in like that folder area by like pressing select all 21 conversations in inbox, or select all 21 that are in this labeled folder. If you like have to use a label, then you can do this. The quickest way to like send an email to a labeled folder is basically while you're reading, press V, and it brings up like where you want to move it to. And then I can start typing unsubmitted receipts and then press enter. So if you must use a label, that's the quickest way to do it, and you're cranking through emails. But I wouldn't use them. And then another thing too is, so some of you probably have several thousand emails in your inbox right now. Probably the easiest way to get rid of them is up here in the search mail, you can do this with a lot of stuff, but before, and then press colon. We'll say the beginning of this month. That seems like a good date. Before 2020, 6/1/2020, and it's going to pull up all of these. You can then press select, and then you can do select all conversations that match this search, and then you can press this archive button, and that'll archive like all the emails before this date. So I would think through like how on top of your inbox you are, and I basically did this with Pat, is basically how on top of it am I, like, before what date can I just like declare email bankruptcy and basically just forget about those emails so I can get a fresh start, because I've just got too many emails in the inbox. And I would do this kind of search and archive all the emails before that date and get them out of your inbox, and then go through your inbox and finish cleaning it out and start doing inbox 0. Does that make sense? Everybody tracking with me there?
Yeah.
So,
I know with the label thing, just one exception, like if you have something that you routinely filling up your inbox, so you're just archiving, you can set it to automatically archive and label it. So then if you have to reference it, you can find it. So I do that for like HubSpot notifications. 9 times out of 10, I don't care, but sometimes I need to see what the latest HubSpot notification was.
Yeah, you can set up auto, like, where is that again? I haven't done that in a long time.
You set up a filter when you search.
Yeah, you set up a filter and then you, what is it, like save? It gives you several options with the filter, but it's, so you can get rid of the labels later. That's going to take a long time. But if you guys have tons of emails in your inbox, I would, try to do what I just talked about in regards to archiving right now.
The other thing you added on mine was the to-do label. That's been mega helpful for me.
Yeah. So another principle with like cranking through the emails, and I don't even have this, but maybe I should. But back to the principle of not using your inbox as a to-do list. Like another type of label you could create is basically the to-do. So this way, again, principle is you set aside time to go through your inbox. You don't just like randomly touch it and then kind of decide, do I want to deal with this email or not? Okay, I'm just going to leave it. It takes tons of time to get decision making. Just time to go through your inbox, crank through the emails, and if there's anything that's going to take more than 5 minutes, just move it to the to-do folder, write it down. What I often do is I will literally take the subject line of I'll literally take the subject line of the email, so that's super easy to find the chain later, and then I'll throw it on my calendar for like a time, like to deal with it later. Like I'll literally just put the name or the subject line of the email right here. Put it like right here. Deal with HS email, and I'll put it in like the description. I'll save it. So that like gives me a time to do it later. But basically that scheduled time to go through your inbox, if anything looks like it's going to take more than 5 minutes, then throw it in the to-do folder or put the subject, like schedule a time to do it later. And then just keep cranking through your emails. The inbox time is like inbox time. And like the getting things done, like larger task time, that should be something else that you've like scheduled or something like that. That way you don't set aside an hour for your inbox and then get pulled into a project that takes, 48 minutes of that hour.
So with that email, would you archive that email?
Yeah, and then I would just archive that email. Let's see. So yeah, I just press E to archive it, and then I mean it's so easy to find if you put the subject line like later, like it's the only one that's gonna pop up. I'm gonna move this to.
Well, big takeaways from this though is like finding a couple shortcuts that you're going to add into your daily routine with your inbox, trying to get your inbox much simpler, and having a goal to get it to zero at the end of the day. So that way you're always on top of it and you're not missing any emails.
Yep. Any other comments or questions about any of this stuff?